Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be going over Sony's most recent studio acquisition, that being Insomniac Games, and how apparently it was recently revealed exactly how much Sony paid to acquire them as a first-party studio. Some very interesting information there. We're also going to be talking about a few things that Phil Spencer recently had to say during an interview about Xbox. And one of the things that he mentioned that I thought was pretty interesting had to do with the reveal of the Xbox Series and how apparently, according to him, it could have actually ended up being a disaster. And it seems like Microsoft took a little bit of a risk by doing it the way they did. And I think it's safe to say that most people were not expecting Microsoft to announce their next generation Xbox console during the Game Awards, and it definitely came as a big surprise. So I want to just go over that because I think his comments are pretty interesting. But before going any further, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button on this video, really helps it out more than you guys know, and it's an easy way for you to let me know that you are enjoying the content. I appreciate all of the support you guys have been showing me here on the channel. It does not go unnoticed, and it is greatly appreciated. And be sure to hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already done that. But it says here that Sony paid $229 million for Insomniac Games. Sony has revealed the price it paid to make longtime collaborator Insomniac Games part of the PlayStation family. According to a filing made today with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the acquisition of the studio cost Sony $229 million, paid out mainly in cash. Sony announced the deal in August following up on the success of Insomniac's PlayStation 4 exclusive Spider-Man game. At the time of the studio's sale, the game has sold more than 13.2 million copies. I'm sure it's actually, that number has most likely climbed significantly higher than 13 million since the time of that acquisition. It says prior to the sale, Insomniac Games had worked closely with Sony for decades. Founded in 1994, it only released games on Sony platforms for the first 18 years of its existence, creating franchises like Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, and Resistance. It branched out in 2012 with the Facebook game Outernauts and has since explored development for mobile, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, Oculus Rift, and Magic Leap 1. Those days are presumably behind it. At the time of the acquisition's announcement, then Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios chairman Sean Layden explained, "The addition of Insomniac Games to SIE Worldwide Studios reiterates our commitment to developing world-class gaming experiences that can only be found on the PlayStation platform." So yeah, not the biggest news here, but certainly very interesting information. I think a lot of people were wondering how much roughly Sony had to pay to acquire Insomniac Games, because there's no doubt that Insomniac, I mean, if I'm being honest, like based off the talent they have there, based off of the IP, based off of just everything they've done throughout the history of their studio, I think $229 million is actually, I don't know, I don't want to say that that's on the low end, but you would think that Sony could have easily, if Insomniac expected more, would have ended up paying more, right? Like, it just seems to me that it's a deal that was going to happen at some point. I remember when Insomniac was acquired, not everybody was really too shocked. I mean, everybody was pretty much thrilled, but at the same time, as this article points out, Insomniac Games and Sony have had such a strong relationship over the years that it was like something that was just a matter of time. And I'm personally glad to see that it actually happened, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Insomniac Games is going to do for Sony going forward. Obviously, we can expect another Spider-Man game, most likely another Ratchet and Clank game. I do wonder if Sony's ever going to do anything with the Sunset Overdrive IP, and so I want you to let me know down below what you would like to see from Insomniac Games next, or what you expect to see from them next, and if you think we're going to get anything related to Sunset Overdrive. But moving on from that, we're going to discuss what Phil Spencer had to say about the Xbox Series reveal, admitting that it could have been a disaster. It says that head of Xbox Phil Spencer has revealed more about the company's thinking behind its surprise decision to unveil the Xbox Series at the Game Awards last year, admitting that he wasn't a big fan of the initial idea at first. Speaking to Gamertag Radio via VGC, the Xbox executive said that someone from the marketing team originally put forward the prospect to reveal the next-gen console's design and name with a snazzy highlight reveal at the annual awards show. She just stood up in the room room and said, we should do something bold, something we've never done before. Let's face it, we're not in the market position we want it to be in for this last generation. I don't think we're going to disrupt and grow our business by doing what we've always done. Let's go try and do new things. Though the reveal proved to be a huge success, allowing Microsoft to get ahead of Sony's still yet to be announced PS5 event, Spencer acknowledges that the trailer's impact could have gone either way, explaining that it could have been a disaster. You have to make those decisions, and you make them without all the knowledge of how it's going to play out, Spencer continued, adding that every decision we make between now and launch, we're trying to think about things in a different way. Some of them will get right, and some of them we won't, but we're definitely not going to be meek. We're going to be bold in what we're going to try to do. So I thought that this was just pretty interesting because I think it just continues to highlight how Xbox's strategy is just, it's at a point where they're not trying to do anything traditional, and some people love this, some people can't stand this. I think most of you know how I feel about a lot of the things that Xbox is doing, where I am more of a traditionalist and I would have liked to see Xbox do things in a more traditional way, but at the same time, I think that it's good at the very least here, if there's a positive to extract from what Phil Spencer's saying, is it is important that they do take risks and they do try new things and different things and, you know, just try to experiment. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but he seems to be well aware that it could go either way. And obviously, he's hoping, and Xbox fans are hoping, that it only goes one way, and that is a good way, right? And I'd say that the Xbox Series reveal was a success. I think it's a little bit funny that not too long after that, Sony's big thing was they showed off the logo, and a lot of people made fun of that, but at the same time, you saw just how much excitement just a single logo reveal from the PlayStation 5 or from Sony, how much excitement that generated. But I'd say that what Phil Spencer deciding to greenlight the Game Awards reveal, I honestly think is a good sign that they are trying to be more aggressive, and most of you know who've listened to my thoughts on that. I think they did a good job with it. I enjoyed it. It really caught me off guard. It was a nice surprise, but there are people who think that this wasn't the most successful announcement of their next-gen console, that they could have done a better job. Maybe that's true, but we're going to have to see if they plan to do anything else radically differently going forward. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Again, it's been a little bit slow lately, but I'm trying to keep up with everything and keep things going here, talk about whatever we can that I think is, relatively interesting. So let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. What do you think about how much Sony paid to acquire Insomniac Games, and which studio do you think is next for Sony to acquire? And let me know what you think about Phil Spencer admitting that the reveal, or the way they chose to reveal their next-gen Xbox console, could have actually been a disaster. Do you think it was actually a disaster, or do you think that they did a good job with it? I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.